Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam. Welcome back to the Horror Movie Iceberg podcast, where myself and Russell Howell watch disturbing horror movies till we tap out. And we are officially at the halfway point of our VHS retrospective. We are at VHS 94. And I hesitate to say, but I've been teasing, the quality of these is starting to get better. This is not one of the better movies overall. It's better than Viral, though. I can at least assure you that.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy that on Rotten Tomatoes, this is a 90. This is like certified fresh, kind of crazy. But yeah, we're halfway through. This is better than Viral, so we got that going for us.
Yes, but let's get straight into it. But first, like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening on audio, we'd appreciate some stars over there. But let's get into VHS 94. This was released in 2021 on Shudder, where Shudder is basically the home of VHS now. They've released every movie since here up to VHS Halloween, which came out last year. And it sees the return to the producer's chair of Brad Miska, who created the series, and sees the debut of, well, for the first time, really. We'll see the return of Simon Barrett from the first one, but from this one, it's all original directors, and we'll get into all of those. As usual, we're tackling the wraparound first and just getting that out of the way, which the wraparound is called Holy Hell. And it features a SWAT team trying to find they're doing a drug bust in a warehouse. And they come across spooky TVs and VHSs and the like. So just tackling the wraparound, Russell, what did you think?
Yeah, I don't think this is the strongest one, obviously, like we've said before. I mean, it's okay. I don't think it's very strong. Obviously, having the setup of the TVs, obviously, go figure. But overall, I'm it's kind of just flat.
I get it. I do think, though, that there is a lot to like with this one. I like the atmosphere of the creepy warehouses.
Yeah.
I like where it eventually goes. So it's not the best, but I
Yeah.
do definitely like it. And just in general, as they get further away from the VHS concept of the embracing of like older technology, like I liked this one quite a bit. I'll just leave it at that. But we get now to our first segment, which is called Storm Drain. This was directed by Chloe Okuno. And this is the one that, from everything that I've read about this movie, this is the one that has gotten the most attention. It tells the story of a newscaster who is doing a story on homeless people living in a storm drain. And, well, they worship something called Ratma. And I don't know if I can provide any context for that, but just a huge rat-like creature. And it's even crazier than how I'm describing it. But of all the segments here, it's between this and one other as far as my favorite, but in terms of favorites, this is definitely in the conversation.
Yeah, this is my runner up, I would say. I almost want to joke around and find out if Ratma's any friends with Michael Myers from Halloween Kills or Halloween
Well,
Ends, I guess, because he spends his time in the sewer drains all of a sudden. So
don't get me started on that one.
but yeah, I mean it's cool enough up until the reveal. I think. I mean it's good enough. I like it. Like I said, it does a good enough job building tension. I like it. Just the reveal's kind of Like I said, I think Tusk did a cheesier, better job. I would say. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. It's not bad. It's definitely memorable for sure. Yeah.
If you all have never seen Tusk, go out of your way to watch it just once. I can't
Oh, yeah.
necessarily recommend it as like a good movie, but in terms of like what happens, All that I can say is
Yeah.
just wow, and I'll just leave it at that. But then,
Yeah, it's a thing.
one more note before we move on. I did want to shout out Anna Hopkins, who plays Holly, the main character of the segment. I thought she was awesome. I thought she sold everything incredibly
Oh, yeah.
well. And I also want to shout out the Ratma design, which just makes me uneasy every time. It looks like a xenomorph on Earth.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I always think it looks like.
What was that book series? Remember Animorphs or something? Remember Animorphs,
Yeah, yeah.
the book series? Yeah. Yeah, no, she was a great lead. She almost reminded me of the main lead in Quarantine. Wasn't she was it Jennifer? No. Yeah.
Jessica Biel, I think.
No, not Jessica Biel. She's the girl from Exorcism Emily Rose.
Is Jennifer Carpenter.
Jennifer Carpenter, yeah, she kind of reminded me had vibes of that. She was great though in that episode for sure. Like I said, I mean it's good enough. The reveals, but I mean overall, I think it's effective enough for sure.
Well, our next segment is The Empty Wake. This was directed by Simon Barrett, who is returning from the first VHS. And like I touched on there, is the first one, is the who directed one of the segments into a full blown movie. And this one tells the story of Haley, who is assigned to videotape a wake at an empty funeral home, and things just go completely south. So, like I said, it's between this and the Rapma one, but this segment was just so creepy. Like, rewatching it for this, I was just like, I'm not a huge fan of funeral homes to begin with, but then you like add the stuff like this, I'm just like, this has got to be every grieving family's worst nightmare right here.
Yeah, I mean this is my favorite segment of the whole show. I love it. I love the originality of it. I just like the fact that she's pretty much kind of new to the whole funeral home game. The boss and the other person go away while there's a storm outside, which has really caused like nobody to come to the funeral home wake, which is kind of crazy because you think like funeral home wakes are typically like like in the hours of like 7 to 9 p.m. So it's kind of crazy that like nobody comes up except one person. I think it's cool. I love the whole. It plays on like when the lights go out. Obviously, you kind of know what's going to happen, but it plays on your fears there, and I think it does such a great job doing it. And like I said, it's just definitely one of my favorites. When I watched it, I said, well, this one's going to be hard to top. It was, like I said, between that and Ratma, but I knew this one was the one just because the sheer thought of it is just so haunting and scary. Like, you know what I mean? Death is scary enough, but then, you're alone, you're in a funeral home. There's a body in the casket. It's a little uneasy when you go back and you see like the casket's kind of shifted a little bit. Like, I don't know. I think they do such a great job building the tension through this episode.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. And just like I said, one of the things I did want to bring up is that I was watching the kill count for this, like on Dead Meat's YouTube channel before we started this. It turns
Okay.
out this was shot during COVID, so everything had to be, extra like shot around and all of
Oh,
that
yeah.
because of the COVID regulations. This
Yeah.
was shot in a hotel. So like
Oh, that makes sense.
the cast was like all like confined to this hotel because of, quarantine and all of that. So
Yeah.
they had to, I think they had like 3 days. And so they shot this all in like 3 days, which is very
Oh.
impressive.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, it totally makes sense because I could see that kind of like at one of those like meeting halls in hotels, like a meeting room or whatever, set it up, kind of like make it look like a funeral home. I totally can see that. So yeah, no, they did a great job. Like I said, I think it's very effective with how they do it. Totally plays on your emotions and your nerves. It makes you definitely feel uneasy. I think they do such a great job doing this.
Yes. But let's move on now to the subject. This was directed by Timo Tjahjanto. Again, I probably butchered that, and I'm sorry. But it tells the story of a mad scientist, or a mad doctor rather, who is operating on what we originally know as Subject 98 and Subject 99. And, well, it's one of those technology gone wrong kind of things. And it starts out as something genuinely like unnerving and then evolves into basically the video game Doom, but
Yeah.
with no demons.
Yeah, and like I said, this is probably I would rank out of the four. This would be like third, just because I feel like it goes on a lot. It really drags. I feel this is the longest of the four episodes. Has to be runtime wise, and I just don't like. I don't mind the foreign subtitles, but we can't hear anything they're saying. So I wish they would have done the subtitles in English. I think that would have been obviously better just because you're kind of curious what's going on. You have an idea of the premise of it, obviously. Crazy scientists doing experiments on humans. Okay, I got it. Kind of making them kind of like robotic. Okay, we got it. I will do a shout out though. Near the end of it, there are some pretty cool ass like kill scenes where you get that first person video game, kind of like what you said, first person like Doom shooter type stuff. I think that's really cool. And the kill count for this episode that'd be pretty bonkers too.
Yes, and one more note that I did want to do, the effects on this were actually quite good, and like
Yeah.
it did devolve into what it devolved into, but the reveal of seeing like your head being replaced by a camera or just like a piece of technology, I'd be freaked out. So that was like the appropriate reaction there.
This will be funny though, and you'll appreciate this one. The male, when his reveal with his face, could you envision putting like a Jar Jar Binks there? It kind of reminded me of Jar Jar Binks. The shape of his face, where his eyes are at, like his eyes are up here. You can't unsee it once you see it, dude. I'm telling you. It was funny because that's what I thought. I was like, I gotta tell him this. Like he's gonna get a kick out of this. But yeah, I mean, it would be totally, really scary to wake up, obviously, like that, operated on. But kudos to the Mad Doctor for like doing that and like doing it effectively, which is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? It's like your modern, I guess your '90s modern Frankenstein type thing.
Yes, but then we get to our final segment, which is just called Terror, and it's about a group of white supremacists, and no, I'm not like speaking out of turn that these are literally white supremacists. Like
Yeah.
they're like they basically come up with a plan to bomb a federal building in Baltimore, Maryland, I believe.
I think it's Detroit.
However, they keep on their property a vampire who they have to kill every day in order to keep him at bay. Yes. So
Yeah.
this is my least favorite segment. I think in terms of the subject matter, I see what they were trying to go for, and even take the fact that this movie was released in 2021, like take that out of the picture. This took place in 94 and it's a work of fiction, but a year after this is Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of timeliness there, if you want to call it that. So I get that. But I don't know, I never cared for this one. It just felt off. Like it just felt completely separate from the rest of these.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's my least favorite of the four. I just think it's just kind of boring. They really don't. Now I know that obviously he was a vampire. I put it together. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, because I was like, it looks like they're killing the same person every day. I'm like, okay, now that makes sense. Okay, now I got it. Just thanks for the explanation on that, because I was wondering what the hell. Okay, but yeah, they don't do a good job explaining stuff. Like it's just guys in the woods, like rednecky type people in the woods talking about anti-America and like let's start a revolution, let's be patriots, and it's just crazy. I don't know. It feels more like almost this would be like almost like this would remind me of like its own Purge movie, if there was like a Purge movie, you know what I mean? Like because
Yes.
the Purge Anarchy or whatever was like it was like a political Purge film, you know what I mean? But yeah, to me, like this definitely feels out of place. It's not very it just doesn't. There's no interest to it. The monster vampire doesn't even look like it. It looks stupid.
He just
It
looks
looks
like a regular dude.
it
He
looks like
just
a
looks like
regular
a
dude with
regular dude.
like more like what was it, like the baked potato and the goosebumps with all the spikes on it? Remember? Do you remember that? Like that's pretty much what this dude's face is when he opens his mouth. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's,
But yeah,
I love me a good vampire story, but this was just not it. It just felt random.
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe because they named themselves after Vikings, maybe a cursed like Norse like element causes them to do all this and it goes south. But where does
yeah.
vampires fit into all of this? It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. It would have been really cool had they done this when there was like kind of almost like 30 days of night. That'd have been kind of cool because it's always nighttime out, so there's always that threat. Obviously they can't use daylight as their friend because there's no daylight for a month. I think that would be kind of cool. There's a lot of things you could have done with this. I just this one, like you said, it doesn't hold the attention. I just think it's the weakest of the four episodes. Yeah, just yeah, easily forgettable.
Definitely. Would you rather watch this one again or the Wiener Monster we covered in Viral?
I think I'd rather watch the Wiener Monster just for the shock of the Wiener Monster, man. Like honestly, um, like I said, it had that same shock value like the end of like Sleepaway Camp. Like if you know, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd probably watch the Wiener Monster again over this one for sure.
very good. Well, for the complete package of it all for VHS 94, I'm going to give this a good rating
Yeah,
because there's definitely some bad stuff here, but the good stuff, in my opinion, is more than present. And this is not just a good rating because it's better than Viral. I mean, like
yeah,
many things are better than VHS Viral.
yeah,
This benefits from the good stuff being actual good stuff, like
yeah.
actual creepy stuff.
No, I
So
agree.
all the credit in the world for, like, say, going the extra mile on the practical effects because the Rapma design was an actual creature suit that
Yeah,
someone wore for this, and it was just like the extra things. So there's definitely some bad stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff, and so
yeah.
that's what carries it over the edge for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's middle of the road. I think it's decent. Like my overall rankings for this one would be VHS 2, the first one, 94, and then Viral. I think that would be the kind of where I'm at with that one. Viral's still the weakest of the four films so far. There are some great things in in this segment for sure. Ratma, obviously the funeral home. I think that itself is probably one of my favorites so far, just because of the sheer creativity of it. It's something, and in even thinking about it now, it's kind of brilliant if you think about the fact that you had COVID restrictions and stuff like that. Well, what can we do something real quick? Let's do something real quick where it doesn't require a lot of people, and this was perfect for it. It made sense and it was effective, so that it was pretty cool.
Yeah, but I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of VHS 94? Let us know in the comments. We would love to read what you have to say. And in 2 weeks' time, we will return to the VHS series yet again, and we'll get into VHS 99, which if 94 was just the start of things, 99 continues the good trend. And we got some directors like Flying Lotus who are directing segments for this, and it's definitely the most 90s VHS movie we're going to cover. Like if you all remember 99 and liked the 10/31/98 segment of the original VHS, that whole feeling is layered throughout all of VHS 99. But next Friday, we will return to the Reiner project and we will cover Misery. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. But Russell, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, Notorious by Chance is the Facebook group. Is the podcast of the same title. Chance and I just dropped our latest episode on Thor as we do our big series up to the new Avengers film, Doomsday. So check that one out. We will be shooting this weekend, sometime either tomorrow or this weekend, one battle after another to continue our best picture winner. episodes. So check that out as well. You guys can find us on YouTube as well, Notorious by Chance.
Yep, all the links down below. Subscribe to them over there. And like I said, stay tuned for next Friday where Russell and I tackle, well, to quote Adam Levine, we are in misery. My name is Ryan Cam, and we'll see you all in the next one.